I'm Will, and welcome to my channel. We are going to try to have some fun out here. This is my shed you see me in, where I work on all my equipment, my motorcycles. So we're going to have some videos on working on bikes, working on some other stuff, and doing some moto vlogging around the area. What I'm going to try to do is take this engine out, put it in the chopper frame, and get a running bike while I continue to work on this frame and get the other engine rebuilt. Anyhow, one of the reasons I decided to do that rather than continue working on this is messing around with this and working on frame stuff. I'm not sure about the light, how well you can see it, but I put my foot on this, put my foot on the side stand, and I don't know, can you see that moving? Anyway, what's happened, this is broken off, and the frame underneath has rusted up and got a big crack in it. So I've got to fix this down tube here underneath where the side stand and the running boards bolt in. So today we're going to pull off this primary, inner and outer, and see if we can pop this engine out. So I'm going to put you back on the tripod and get going with it. I'm going to figure out a way to keep this upright. It doesn't fall over or crash into the floor. And at the same time, be able to get to this primary. That ought to do it. Okay, that's on the frame. Good. So, yeah. That isn't that important, but oh, and just so you know, I don't have a lift. I got one of those jack-up kind that goes under here, but oddly enough, the frame of a this old FLH has a little FLT. I'm sorry. This FLT frame shaped a little weird at the bottom. Can't get the pieces to actually sit under it well, nor anything else I own, to be brutally honest. It's kind of irritating most of the time. Looks like all the bolts I have on there. Cool, I didn't have much holding it on. Excellent. And remember, this was just mock-up. I will need to get some new bolts for that when I eventually get this back together. Now let's see what we need to do. Get the clutch off. I don't really need this off the ground, but probably do this jacked up garage. So, those of y'all that are used to Evo clutches with the big pressure plate on the outside and in the middle, let me show you a little bit on this one, just in case this is new to you. What we have is, in this mode, shovelheads, panheads, probably knuckleheads, and they're working on knucklehead, all pretty much had the same kind of clutch on it. And the outer ring, clutch hub, or clutch housing. Inside, regular clutches, fiber, metal. And you get out to the plate here, slides over these three studs. And in between are springs that keep pressure on this plate to hold the clutches in. When you pull the clutch, it pushes on this rod. This is an adjustment rod. throwout bearing on the other side pushes this, pulls this out, shoves this out, and compresses the springs a little bit, releases the clutch, release the lever, re-engages the clutch. Hope that's not too, hope I said it right. Anyway, get this off, pop this out here. Now what happens most of the time when people do this, they'll undo this, they'll undo these 3, sometimes 5, in this case 3 nuts, and the springs go flying, and it is a complete and utter pain in the ass to get that back together later. Loosen that up. This stud here is just a rod, thread rod, that goes into here. I'll show you the back side when we get out. What you do is remove the nut here. Got a shoulder on it. Find a nice big washer that'll touch all the way around here. And hang on while I go find it. I've got one around here I keep for just such emergencies, or just such situations. Okay, I didn't find the one I was looking for, but I did find another. It's a spacer. I have an old angle grinder I had. It works fine. You can set this in. Shoulder drops into it, as you can see, I hope. And it does cover the hole down here. So what you want to do is put this in. I'm hoping it's wide enough. When I originally used it much wider than this. Put it in, tighten this nut up, with that in the middle, touching this plate. Crank down on it a couple turns, hold the springs. And you can see it's a little loose now. You can back these nuts off. Pop that loose, whole thing comes out nice and neat, holds it in place. Because if you just took that off without doing this, this would have popped off, this section here would have popped off, and all those springs would have fallen on the floor. And then you'd have to try to put them back in there. Extremely, well, it's just a pain in the ass, let's put it that way. Alright, let me set these aside. And see if we can get these clutches out of here. This bike has been sitting for a number of years. That's my parents say. But it has one reason I wanted to try to get this engine going. Fix this ring. I said this is not my own motorcycle, never has been. I have couple of those. Right one, these are really new clutches. That really hit. I don't know where on. I bought this bike when I was living in Phoenix from a salvage yard. It wasn't a salvage bike, so it was, but I ended up getting it. Took it to the salvage yard, swapped it for couple carts of something else, a 4-wheeler or something. And he wanted to dead set of the bike. And tried to get a that's where I or side one. I saw it sitting down here complete, they go kind of worse where. Pick it up and kind of really it's a nice bike. I just didn't like the sharp nose steering. I basically bought it because I'm going to go shop right now, shop time. And I started getting into it. I don't like the extra frame, the rubber mount. I didn't know why it was that. But none of that really mattered. It did get done. One of the things we're liable to run into here is not getting all the plates out for one thing. There's no clutch. A lot of clutch plates in here. A lot of clutch plates in here. Let me get that up a little bit. Move you back. Try to get them all out. Well, that should, yeah, that's it. All right. So, one of the things you run into, you got to go in here. This is a left-hand thread, but Look what happens when you turn it. Oh shit, how am I going to loosen that? Find yourself an old clutch plate. Knock some of the material off. Weld you on something to hold it with. In this case, an old, really weird driver of some type I had laying around that I didn't use. Just welded it on. I can pop this on the hub. If I can see what I'm doing. Like that. And as it turns, I can just hold that. Now, this was not torqued down as far as it needed to be. So, to get the idea. There's a nut that goes on it. There's a piece of a shaft. This is a 2 or 3 piece shaft. It runs all the way through the transmission to the other side of the end of the transmission cover where the throwout bearing and the clutch engagement fork is. I think that's what we call it. Anyway, this is pretty manky, so I'm going to have to clean that up. And let's throw that over here. Stuff we don't need. And get a reach for that. As I'm thinking it's going to be. Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I think I had torqued any of this stuff down. If I'd have fired this engine up, I'd be busting out air tools to do that. Compensator sprocket. I don't know if they're still running them on the new stuff or not. There we go. After this, you need the gear puller. I got one around here somewhere. I forget where I put it. But let's go find that. It's been a while since I did this, guys, so bear with me. Actually, you know what? It's really as far as you need to go. You can get this off. There. I'm just going to loosen up the inner primary. I'll see if I can get to the, yeah, I can get to the 2 bolts that are holding down the engine here. Motor mounts, should be able to pull the engine straight out that side without pulling all this loose. Done it before, but doesn't mean I can do it again. But let's give it a try, shall we? So I just realized my disk space ran out, so I had to stop. Well, I didn't have it stop by itself. And by the time I realized it, I'd already removed the mounts from the bottom here in the front, here, and the ones back here in the back behind the engine that hold it to the transmission. And then all we got left to do is get the ones up here on the top. then I should be able to slide that engine straight out the other side. It'll be kind of tight, but it won't be impossible. Like I said, I've done it before. Actually, I think I'm going to go, just going to undo the other side over there and then take this off completely. Get it there. And that's what we got. Alright, so on this roll mount shovel head, right, let's see, if you look right here, this piece right here, that is connected to the frame, comes down to this heim joint, bolts in here, goes around to the other side, and this is the top motor mount. On a rubber mount engine, it's really important to have that, as it keeps the basically the top of the engine from moving from side to side this way, which it will do on this rubber mount. It's kind of a pain to get it done because of this piece in the middle. You should probably pull this carburetor off, but I feel like it. Alright, looks like I'm not going to have much choice if I want to get this loose. So give me half a second to get the carburetor off. One way bought me a nice set of ratchet and wrenches. On back. Well, Father's Day, I think, Sean. Got to remind me, I couldn't remember when it was. I think I'd start using them a little more, don't I? Let's see this. Am I doing this okay? Everybody with me here? Probably not. I want to try to get rid of most of this in editing. If I can figure out how. Yep. Wrong one. Here, and right up here, are two bolts that hold the engine to the inner primary, or the inner primary to the engine, however you want to look at it. And pull those out. But other than that, I'm thinking everything on this engine is loose. No oil tank to worry about. I'm going to put the oil tank on it. Nothing in there, is there? No. No, didn't put anything in those. As I said, all I managed to do when I got this engine back was just toss it in the frame here. And leave it. That was in 2011, I think. So, 10 years. Mostly because guy couldn't keep his word on when he could get it back to me. I mean, you know. And as you can see, that is loose. Hopefully it'll be enough just to loosen this thing up. You see the engine's loose. It's just, let me get a little bit of clearance on it. Oh. That's what I was afraid was going to happen. But, oh well, okay then. When you get finished laughing, go back. Let me shut this off while we pick the bike up. I'll see what happened after that point. Hang on, guys. Okay, so we're going to end this episode here. Bike on the ground, got it back up. Hope everybody got a laugh out of watching the bike fall over. Nothing got hurt, including me. Engine's out, frame's loose. I'm going to roll this out off camera, bring in the other one off camera. No sense watching an old fat man pushing a motorcycle around. And we'll get on that in the next episode. Thanks for watching. And this is Will, riding and wrenching in South Carolina. Thanks for joining me.